I think we're live. All right, we are live. What's up, Cutternation? John Sintez here. Got a guest, Ryan Morse. But first, we got to run over to my website, check out my gear. It's getting a little chilly out there. I got these awesome non-hoodied sweatshirts with the pocket in the front. Like, you want them. They're medium thickness, but they're pretty nice. Love to wear them all the time. I got new shirts coming out. Check out my strikeout season we got here. I'm going to get this in front over here. It's always strikeout season. Strikeouts pay the bills. That may or may not be the new one that's going to be coming out soon. Stay tuned for that. Also want to give a shout out to Brain Armor. These guys are awesome. Check out their Omega stuff. This is unbelievable for recovery. I've been doing this for about 10 years. People freak out when they hear that I take about 10 or 12 a day, but that's why I'm 32 and I feel like I'm 16. So do what you got to do. But without further ado, from Crucible Performance, the man that is always on point on the energy, whether it's 4:30 or 12:30 at night, Ryan Morse from Ryan. Ryan, welcome.
Hey, good to be here. Thanks for having me on. Pumped up.
I'm pumped up. You pump me up in the morning. I mean, I try to grind all the time and make sure that I'm being positive and moving through and doing stuff. And you over at 4:30 in the morning, just letting everybody know at any age, like, hey, anybody can do this.
Yeah, you better believe it. It all comes down to that mindset. Just got to get up, got to get going.
Yeah, really. I totally believe that. I think that, everybody has those regrets. Like you try not to have regrets, but when you see people, that you played with, that you grew up with, and this, and people just start asking you, how do you get so much done? And I think the simple question is the simple answer is I just do it. Like, just period. There's no secret. You just do it. That's all it is. You do the best as you can every day. And that really seems like, especially you being on the East Coast, Maryland area, correct?
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah. I'm an East Coast. I'm actually 20 minutes from there. So it's, I'm used to the East Coast thing and everything from there, and I know all about Maryland. I'm a little bit of a Florida State fan. We're not very good this year, but we've always had our little Maryland stuff from there. So let's start with your awesome business, Crucible Performance. Why don't you take us through the history of what you've done and where you started that, where you got that idea from, and how it evolved to that awesome building that you have behind you.
Yeah. So it's been really kind of quite the progression. We've really been around since 2016, but the idea and the foundation and the basis for it started way before that. I was coming out of school. I actually was a graphic design major. I was working with the government. I was doing all that fun stuff, sitting behind a desk, and it was driving me nuts. Like, there's no way that I could just sit behind a desk and do nothing. So, I got out of that, and then it was really kind of like, what's next? What do I like to do? What do I love to do? And I realized that I love helping people. I wanted to make a difference in people's lives, and sitting behind a desk just wasn't doing it. So I was like, hey, let's get into this training thing. I was a college athlete. I've been around a weight room my entire life. So I love helping people in that way. So let's get into that. So it was, just through shadowing some friends of mine, and hey, let me see if I even like doing this, trying to find a mentor to see if this would even work, if this is a plausible path for my life, and that's oftentimes one of the hardest things is right out of college. Like, everything's set for you. And then it's like, well, I can do anything I want, but then that's kind of terrifying at the same time. So I was in that process of figuring out what I needed to do, got in as a personal trainer, and guess what? Nobody wanted to train with me. It was like, what? Like, nobody. It's like, I'm passionate about this. I love this, but nobody wants to hang out with me. Nobody wants to train with me. So, I really started digging into like my purpose. Like, what am I trying to do? Am I just trying to take money out of this person's pocket to pay my bills? Or am I like really trying to change somebody's life? Like, it's that whole Simon Sinek, what's your why kind of thing. Start with why. It goes back to that. And I realized, this is my purpose. This is my passion. This is where I have an immense amount of passion for what I'm doing. So let's try to shift the focus. And from as soon as I started being authentically me, it is when people started. I went from not having any clients to being the #1 trainer at a location, big box gym that I was at. So, from there, it was kind of like, okay, there's a bigger picture. There's a bigger picture to what I'm supposed to be doing. So a buddy of mine who's got a gym in this area was like, hey, why don't we do this thing together? Perfect. Let's do it. This is exactly what I'm wanting. There's more to this than just sitting in this big gym. There's more that we can do. Did that for about 13 months. And then the big box gym decided, hey, you know what? We're not so happy that you're doing that. And, it started to go down the legal process with non-competes and all that fun stuff. So, that gets a little scary when you have, a multi-million-dollar business saying, hey, we're not really too fond of what you're doing. But that was, again, a fork in the road for me where it's like, okay, am I going to let this challenge, stop me? Or is this really what I'm passionate about? And it was something I was passionate about. So let's get after this. So I had the non-compete was I had to be outside of a 5-mile radius. So I found my first location was 5.9 miles outside of the radius, and started my business in the back corner of like a big batting cage, and kind of started from there. And it was really through trial and adversity that kind of Crucible came out of it, and that's the whole Crucible name. It's more than just like a name, and more than just a brand. It's really that lifestyle and that mindset that, through a crucible. And for anybody not familiar with what a crucible is, it's basically like a cup or a pot that you put metals and ores into, and you heat them up and you refine it. Crucible steel, intense temperatures, and it melts away all the impurities. So we get, athletes coming in, and we have that idea that you're coming in a raw form, and we're going to melt you down. We're going to put you through the trials. We're going to put you through the adversity. But on the other side, you're going to be stronger. You're going to be better for it. And then that same application happens in life. I mean, that, you're going to have those trials. You're going to have that stuff that comes up, and it's like, why is this happening? But it's making me better. It's making me better. And that's why we have right on our bands and stuff, snap your band, get your mind right. And our big saying is cherish the challenge. Love that challenge, embrace that challenge, because through that challenge, you're getting better. So, we went from about 1,500 square feet in that one location. New owners came in, didn't like that we were there, and we got the boot. And it was like, holy moly, here we go. Like, we're just a year in and we're already getting booted out. We got to figure this out. But it's that mindset of like, good, I'm glad, because now there's an opportunity to grow.
The Jocko mindset.
Good. Oh, I love good. We walk around here all the time just looking at each other like, good. Yeah. And, but it's such a great mindset, and it fits so much with what we're trying to do here. So we just got into this location here about a month and a half ago. But that was after 8 months of looking. This was the 14th location we tried to get into. Certain ones, it looked like we were done deal. This is going to be it. And then the day that we were going to sign the lease, hey, we leased it to somebody else. And we're like, what is going on? And that was brutal. 6 months. Yeah, brutal. But it was that idea of, what, God's got a bigger plan. Like, there's something better coming. So the brand, the name, where we're at, it's the Crucible. It's got the faith side of things, but it's also got that mindset of good. Like, I'm getting better through the challenges, through the hardships. And now here we are. And next challenge accepted. Let's go. So
that's awesome. There's two things that I thought of. One, you behind a desk as a graphic designer, like following you for a little bit now and seeing how much energy you went. You were probably like a little kindergarten ADHD kid that couldn't sit down behind the desk. Like,
it was awful. Like, I love doing the graphic design. Like, I did all the stuff for us. I still do that. But man, to sit there for 8 hours and just stare at a computer, nope, didn't work.
So we have that connection, because I have a degree in advertising and marketing. So we speak the same language, and I totally get it. My girl, my family, we talked about a lot of stuff and things you're doing, and the lifestyle as a trainer and how things go, and it's just your hours are kind of weird sometimes with stuff, and at one point I thought about trying to see if I could do something else and get behind a desk and do stuff. And the further I got into it, I'm like, I don't know about this. I don't know if I can sit down and listen. I've gone this far without working for anybody, really. I'm 32. So I don't know if I want to start now, and I really want to see how long I can go because I don't feel like I work every day. I get in, I'm growing my business on everything stuff over here and seeing some really fun, cool results when, I'm not sure how long you've been following, but I transitioned from one baseball facility to actually a sports performance gym. And that really took a lot of my performance of my guys to the next level because I had more space, I had better equipment, and I was able to put more of a big picture idea. And instead of doing, lessons on the hour, now I've got systems installed where if you come in with me, come in 15 early because we're going to get you warm up, we're going to get you rolled out, we're going to get things going. You're going to get your throwing in and all your stuff, but then I'm going to have an arm care sheet that you're going to hit afterwards, and then I'm going to have I have a dice. How about this? I have a dice with 6 workouts on it. Okay, each workout has 5 workouts. Okay, you roll the dice, 5. You roll the dice. That's the number you're doing. You roll it again. That's the other number you're doing.
Beautiful. I love it.
So it keeps it random. So you can, and each one of them has a push, pull, legs, upper. I'm a little bit more on your style of stuff, and I'll have you explain in just a minute. But I think of the agility and the overall, working the total body every time they come in. I know that a lot of these kids, especially some of my older high school guys, they work out on their own already. Yeah. So I want to be like, you know what? I want to fill in these gaps with a lot of maybe some of these balance RDLs on, on a BOSU, or balance RDL with some different weighted balls I'm throwing at them. Trying to work on some of these specialized systems so I can get them more stable, getting them working faster, and go from there. That being said, let's transition because you have, it just looks like a playground, and I mean that in the most positive,
it is
positive way, because that's really what I'm seeing. You obviously, it sounds like you do the same research I do with Jocko and a lot of some of these other guys and these training systems, and you hear low reps, you hear high reps, you hear all these different styles, these training philosophies, and I really like surveying and consensusing with some of my guys that I follow online, and I love to help stuff because I like sharing information as much as I can as the next one, especially if I'm, it doesn't really sound like you're in the pitching world too much, but I'm sure you're following all the drama going on over in our world with you're either a weighted ball guy or you're not. And like everybody freaks out about it. And
everybody,
my favorite argument to the whole thing, whether you're a weighted ball or not, and especially us being American, every American kid has grown up throwing a football, and nobody got hurt throwing a football. And nobody knows how much a peewee football weighs, but I'll just help everybody. It's 1 pound. Okay. So let's just calm down. All right. Weighted balls aren't that bad. It's not that big a deal, but in the same sense, if you don't know what you're doing, just like if you were to go just full on sprint all the time without getting everything nice warmed up, you're raising your chance of injury. And so, there's a lot of I am a pro weighted ball guy, but that's just because and I'm sure you attack this philosophy too, is if there's anything that I see that's new or a program that someone approaches me about, have you seen this? I'm going to do it. I'm going to try it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to see what it feels like. If I can feel, I'm going to do some research on it. Okay, this person said they feel this here. Okay, let me see what I can do to replicate that and see if I like it. Does it hit the part? Do I understand what it's trying to do so I can explain it to the athlete? Yeah. So that being said, let's get back to your playground and let's go over your philosophy, because I really like a lot of the stuff that you go over.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing, and I actually do quite a bit of pitching stuff as well. So that's another reason why I like following what you guys are doing. I love seeing those little guys out there making it happen.
Dude, it's one of my favorite times, and like I get awesome. So much crap from people. They're like, "You have 8-year-olds throwing like shovel firing and run and gun." I go, "Yeah, yes, I do."
They're going to do it anyways.
I know, exactly. Why not do it? Why not do it in a little bit more of a scientific thing with the radar gun, with some targets, with some goals, with some things like, and I've got a couple 8-year-olds that I've had. I got one 8-year-old that I've had for almost a year. And no, I'm sorry, it's only been 8 months. But he went from 40 to 58, and he's almost going to hit. He's got 59 now on his shovel fires. And he drops bombs. He throws no hitters. But a lot of the stuff that people see, on there is him doing run and guns, leg lifts, shovel fires, lean, a bunch of the drills that I do. But what they don't see is he's also killing it on. He can do a front rack step up with a 25-pound dumbbell at 8 years old.
That's awesome.
With a leg step up leg lift, and he's just strong, and we've been working on it. And the parents bought in. They understand he's doing his bands every day on his own.
Perfect.
And he makes it a thing where he, you went over the why earlier, and I really think that we don't, as I would even say as parents, even because I deal with this on parents all the time, I get more out of the kids right in front of the parent because I believe that I explain the why from the beginning.
Yeah.
And so the kid's over here doing his bands and he's just going through the motions. Mm-hmm. And then I have to go over, hey man, let me explain to this. If you don't do this exactly at this angle, we're not going to hit this deep muscle that we need that's going to help decelerate our arm. Right. And you can only go as fast as you stop. So if you don't do that, then that really tells me the rest of your exercise that you did weren't very good. And instead of you maximizing how much better you got today, you kind of phoned it in at about 20%. Yeah. So you didn't really do everything you could have, and now you're just delaying your process to get to the big leagues. Absolutely. Once I tell a kid that, okay, all right, I got everyone. I'm going to focus on that. Now I understand why technique's important. Okay, cool. And then I get, you get more of it. I just don't understand why, you see a lot of other people going about things like that, and they don't see them really explaining that why, or at least, you see both. I see a lot of guys like your clients. I got Joe Hansen baseball, my boys up in Chicago. I got the natural ball player up, and there's the Instagram world of training is really expanding nicely.
Yeah,
and this process of limited arms, tuck your glove, flat back. All of these older things are really I'm actually seeing, I don't know what you are, in the past year or two, a lot of this information is getting moved out of the way.
Absolutely.
And I'm seeing a lot of people start going, oh, okay, velocity matters. Yes, it does. 100%. 1000% yes. That's one of the biggest reasons why I didn't get to where I was, is because I didn't throw hard enough soon enough.
Right.
And that's the whole thing I try to explain to everybody. And they were like, you didn't throw hard? Yep. I hit 96 when I was at my peak. Everything was going great. And I said, but I got too old for where I was. So crazy stuff from there. So anyway, back to your stuff from there.
Yeah. I mean, I think our biggest thing is we try to create, regardless of what sport you're playing, we just try to create great athletes, because you find that great athletes are going to be great athletes in a lot of different sports, and 80% of what we do with, whether it's a rugby player or a baseball player or a softball or lacrosse, like, they all have to be able to be more explosive. They all have to be able to run faster. No parent ever comes in and says, hey, can you make my kid slower by any chance? Like, no, we're going to go faster. We're going to try to make them faster. We're going to be able to try to get more explosive. We want to do all those things. Now, there are, your sports specific kind of stuff with the arm cares and things like that. But I mean, at the end of the day, a good athlete's a good athlete. So that's kind of the approach that we take. And then, like, a lot of the pitching stuff that you're getting into, I try not to classify or jump into any group of like 100% yes or 100% no. I really feel like every athlete is different. So while one athlete, man, weighted ball might be amazing for you, another one I might look at and say, man, this just isn't for you. Me, I got a lot of benefit out of weighted ball. But then there's other kids that I look at and I'm like, you just need to get strong first. Like, the weighted ball isn't going to help you as much. Like, let's just get you to be able to, reverse lunge your body weight or something like that. Like, let's get strong first.
Ooh. So now you're on something there with the reverse body weight, because I know where we're going with that. Because what are your thoughts on that 90-mile-per-hour formula?
The formula, I think there's a lot of good. I see where he goes with it. I don't think it's like, man, if you do this, this is going to be the result. But I do think that there is a lot of correlation. He's made the comment before where it's like, hey, I've seen a lot of guys squat double body weight and never touch 90. Like, that was me. I was like 2.5 times body weight, but I maxed out at 88. Okay, why? Like, what was the thing? But I love unilateral. I love that idea. So we do a lot of that. Now, we do have some of our guys, we get after it on some squats, like front squats, you know, a lot of bilateral stuff. But when you look at a lot of sports, it's a lot of unilateral. It kind of goes back to the Mike Boyle thing where he's all about the unilateral training and that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, as long as we're becoming better athlete, like I don't want to say, hey, a bilateral squat for you is bad. Why? Like, because certain things are going to work. It worked for me. You know, it's worked for a lot of other guys. I know Tim Hudson back in the day, you know, he was squatting well over 400 and for reps, and he did all right. So, you know, I try not to jump down any one rabbit hole 100%. Like, this is it. Because everybody's different. Everybody moves differently. Everybody responds differently. And I think that's our job as coaches, is to truly coach and figure out, like, hey, this is what this kid needs. So,
no, I agree. I'm not sure if you listened to the podcast where he explained it. And
I did not.
Oh, okay. So I got you on this one because this will make sense now. What I really liked about Dr. Heenan's explanation of his formula is it's not a workout. It's a metric of measurement that he's got over 500 athletes. What he claims, but for what I'm seeing, I put myself through it. It makes sense why I am over 90. And then it also allows for things to where, you know, if you can't do this pull up or you can't do this long toss or you aren't at this weight, it makes sense. It's like, it makes sense. This is only the possibility of what you're doing from there, which makes me excited because I'm predicting that he's going to come out with the 95, the 92, maybe the 97, you know, and those are just harder to get that data, obviously, because you don't have those athletes that are, you know, doing that stuff. And by the way, bilateral, correct me if I'm wrong here. We're talking about like your feet square and you're squatting, and then unilateral. You're almost like a split stance. You know,
like a split stance.
I try to make sure everybody. I get all the terms and everything, but a lot of the times I say that to my athletes. They're like, "Huh?" And I'm like, toes together, square. You know, that's what we're doing here.
You got it.
But yeah, I'm big on the one-legged. I honestly think that's when I trained. You know, I don't know if you know my story, but I broke my elbow my senior year in college and had 2 surgeries. And it took me 3 years to get back, and I got all the way back on my own. Really went through went through the Andrews Institute, had to fire them. Ended up finding this mom and pop rehab facility that they actually did my right knee ACL in high school. Went back to them because when I went to Andrews, I was just another cog in the machine. There were 30 trainers in there, and I one guy with 3 other people. I'm talking to this one guy, trying to tell him about what's going on with my elbow, and he just doesn't get it. You know, he gets it, but he doesn't have time because he's got 3 other people that he's working with. So then I ended up getting to a better situation, and we were able to like experiment with some stuff and work on some things, and I was able to ask them about some mechanical things, some body issue things. And then what was really cool was understanding is, you know, a lot of the ideas and things that I was asking them about, okay, when I get back healthy, what do you think I should do as a physical therapist to throw harder? What do you think? Sure. Like, what's your idea? You know, and so I just started surveying a bunch of people, and you know, a lot of the stuff they said was same thing about athletics, about this and that. And they were like, we just really don't know anything about how you do what you do. And then I realized that I was like, okay, so you understand the muscles and the mechanics and how, but you just don't know you don't know what the phrasing or even how you're trying to move it. So I just spent basically 3 years watching some of the best in the big leagues. And this is back, I'm 32. So this is, this is 10 years ago, really, when I started this. And just started going, okay, why does Josh Beckett not have any arm problems? Why does Verlander not have any arm problems? And started looking at all these guys, researching as much as I can. You know, I think there's a video that's like Justin Verlander's mom tells a story about how he wouldn't stop. He threw every day at his high school until he could throw it from foul pole to foul pole. And like, just what he wanted to do. And, you know, you take stories like that, start putting them all together. You hear, you know, like, Mariano Rivera would throw rocks all day long, and then his goal was to throw like 500 rocks or something like that. Like, oh, okay, all right. So and so you start like, instead of getting the specifics, you start going the other way and start going big picture on stuff, and you start going, they're just throwing. They're just throwing, and I'm sure you get the message all the time. And like, it's my favorite thing And a lot of people think that I'm being sarcastic, but it's the most simple, easiest answer. Like when kids ask me, how do you want to throw hard? I go, throw hard. Just do
hard.
it.
Yeah.
Do it. Just do it. Try it. Stop being afraid to miss. Stop caring where it goes and just throw it. If you miss, like it's so funny when I get kids in there for the first couple times and I'm like, I don't care if you hit the ground, the ceiling, or the net. I don't care.
Just throw it.
How fast can you throw it?
Yep.
You know, and then I've got as long as you follow through like this and this stuff happens and you finish loose and you're honest with how you feel, if you don't push through that, you're going to be fine. You may get a little tender afterwards. We'll take a little bit. We'll do some stretching and some stuff. Maybe even maybe get another pump in real quick.
Yeah.
So I just try to see if we can get it to feel better. Yeah. And then we'll try it again. If not, cool. We reached our limit for the day. We're going to do a bunch of arm care, get some exercises in, and then go home, see you tomorrow.
Yep.
And you just don't see that idea of training is just not popular right now. You know, it's let me take 1 million ground balls. Let me take 1 million hacks. Let me, you know, there's no strength work. Is that what you see on your side of stuff?
Oh, absolutely. I'm seeing the trend of just more. And at some point from the strength and conditioning side of things, I'm saying, hey, like, okay, more, I understand the idea behind it, but we got to make sure that it's focused. Kind of like you were talking about with your J bands, your band care, whatever. Like we tell our athletes all the time, like you can go through this, like you can go through the motions of this, or you can get something from this. Like don't just waste our time. So if you're going through 500 reps of ground balls, well, that's great. But did you really get anything from it? Did you make yourself any better? You know, so we see a lot of that as well on our end. Lacrosse is huge here in our area. You know, and we see a bunch of these girls having shin problems and ACL issues. And it's like, well, when's the last time you took a break and actually trained and got strong and, you know, learned how to be explosive and learned how to decelerate? Kind of like you were talking about. Well, we don't. We just play year round. Well, like I get it then. So, you know, I think more has got to be a specific more. Like there's got to be a reason. There's got to be a why behind the more. So it's not just haphazardly doing more just because you saw somebody else do it, and understanding why. Like, why did Verlander do that? Like, why did it work? Like you said, why does that stuff work? Not just going because it's the latest Instagram fad or the latest, you know, some coach put out a DVD. Well, okay, show me why. Like, tell me why first. And I think that's why the 94, going back to that, like, and that makes perfect sense because that's kind of like that's what I was seeing out of his information was, I'm not saying do this, and this is going to happen. I'm just saying the people that do this, throw 95, 96, can do this.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and I love that approach. It's like, just show me the fact, show me the science, show me why it works, and let's go. So,
and that's one of those things that I was talking about too, is where I just put myself through it. I was like, all right, let's see the pull-up stuff. Little weak, not big on pull-ups, weird, you know. And then went through everything else. The long toss, you know, I think I got to like 370. 370. Yeah, I still do it. It's just, you know, awesome. A little bit different though. I'm only, I think I'm like a year now. It's been a year since I played professionally. But the funny thing is, I've been playing down in Mexico because I live here in San Diego. So it's like 20 minutes. They have Sunday leagues where I still kind of get paid to pitch on Sunday. So like,
very good. It
actually works out better in my schedule because I'm like, all right, I know Sundays are here. I can knock out my 5 days a week, go from there. Really kind of like 5.5, like Saturday mornings, and then do my thing. So I still get my competitive edge out because it's still in there. It comes out every once in a while, you know.
Absolutely.
I see it with you, you know, with your competition stuff and stuff from there. So, you know, it's just, you know, a lot of people after baseball, it's very, you know, I'm not sure if you follow Flama. I'll turn you on to him. He's hopefully he gets back to his rant lifestyle on what a lot of the stuff that he likes to get to, because he's a little bit more adult in situations, you know. He's a little not ask for permission. He's going to come right at you and let you know what you're doing wrong. It's very aggressive, but in the same sense, like it's very eye-opening because until you read the stats, until you understand how hard it really is to get to the big leagues, you know, and how you have to be aware of your situation. But you also, you know, I had a debate with my with my fiance about this recently, and you being an athlete too. I'm not even sure. I did a little research, but I wanted to stop. So before I go into that, what level of baseball did you, or what level of athletics did you get to on everything?
I finished up playing Division I baseball out of UMBC. I was a pitcher. I was a closing pitcher out there. I was one of those guys that didn't throw hard enough from up here from the right side, so I dropped down here and was like, let's get crazy with it. Like I want to compete. Like let's go. 87 from the right side, Division I isn't anything special. So I was like, well, I'll throw 84 from down here and do something a little different.
So I got dropped down my freshman year of college too, and I hated it.
Really?
That's kind of like what started this whole thing. I was the last year of draft and follow. And so our entire junior college down in Pensacola, which was in the Panhandle, I'm not sure if you heard of it, but they just feed the SEC and ACC. Yeah. That's all they do. It's some of the best ball players in the country, freshman and sophomore, and the entire sophomore classes of these JUCO guys go off and play D1. And I was the slowest throwing guy at 88, and the next closest guy was 93 to 100, and we were all the same age. And that's really when I learned that I was not doing it right. I was like, okay, what have you been doing? Oh, you've been working out since you were 8. Okay, what about you? 10? Right. You started at 10? Okay. You started at 12? Yeah. Okay, I messed up. I took ground balls and hacks the whole time. And I don't look like you guys. I don't move like you guys. And so I ended up getting redshirted in the process of that. I screwed up. And so my play catch partner, also redshirt guy, got the yips, which was scary because he got 2 versions of the yips, which people don't know about. There's multiple versions of the yips, everybody, okay? There's the lack of feel of throttle yips, which scares you. That's that guy that can only throw 95 from 20 feet away.
That's right, yeah.
And then there's the guy that throws slow but has no idea where it's going and throws it over your head, bounces it, does whatever. And let me tell you, and I'm sure you've seen this too, it's all fun. It's all fun for about 10 minutes. Then it gets scary because you do not – it seems like it's contagious sometimes. I've seen it transfer from one guy to another. I'm not sure. Yeah. Have you seen anybody get the yips and then it move through people? We had a catcher that got that way. It was just like Major League. Couldn't throw it back to the pitcher. And, you'd see something like that, and then pitcher would get a PFP, and all of a sudden, I don't know if I can throw this thing to first. And it would be that same thing at, here comes a 100-mile-an-hour fastball from 30 feet away, or it was just 10 feet in the ground. Yeah. So contagious is right. So anyway, this guy, they try to drop him down, trying to have him figure it out. And I'm watching it, and then I just happen to be at the field and watch one of our shortstops do a slow role play. And so I just tell him, I'm like, dude, just act like you're doing a slow. Now, granted, he's 6'5", so in my head, I'm 6'2" at the time. Ended up being 6'3" after college. I'm like, just reach down like you're doing a slow roller. I just thought it was a normal thing. He couldn't figure it out. He got worse. He would bend over, then come back, and then I would be like, oh. So I did it, and I was like, just like this. Did it once. Pitching coach saw it. There you go. Hey, do that again.
Yeah.
Do it again. Wow, that was way too natural. We got to do it. Oh man.
Yeah.
And so ended up getting 86 and had a really good following year. But the problem was I never pitched in a meaningful game. You were up 10, down 10. And I'm like, sucks. This is not what I wanted. I wanted to compete. I wanted to be in the moment. And, throw hard, do your thing. And ended up working out for the better because I really figured out what worked and what didn't as far as my own throwing. I ended up at the end of the season, I had 26. I mean, stupid numbers. I looked it up, and I'm like, how did I had 26 innings, 35 Ks, won something ERA, did really well, but just never felt important. Never felt like this is what I should be doing, And so just reinvent yourself, go back to throwing over the top, and then do whatever you want to do, So
that's awesome.
I love it. All right, so let's get into some of the more interesting stuff right there. I see, can we dive into your philosophy on a lot of your training stuff? Because, there's a bunch of aspects that I want to get into because I really like a lot of what you do with the competition, the agility stuff that you do, I don't want to ruin it because let's just get into kind of what your philosophy is on everything, because if everybody isn't following you, they totally should, because it's I always see little trinkets here and there and stuff, or you always got good phrasing and everything going on. So what do we got? If we come into Crucible Performance and we're trying to get after it. What are we going to start with?
We're going to start with some energy. You better believe that. We're going to start with some energy. I mean, the biggest thing that we're focused on, and I tell this to all the parents, is I'm trying to help change your kid from the inside out. And we try to sync the head and the heart up first from the get-go, because I can give them the perfect workout, but if their heart's not in it, if their head's not, like if they're not synced up, you're not going to get anything out of it. So we start from the get-go of having a purpose. And like, why are you even here? Are you doing this to make your mom and dad happy? Or are you sitting here saying, hey, like, I want to play Major League Baseball? And, we talk to them about that. Say, look, if you want to play Major League Baseball, you got to have Major League Baseball effort. You got to have Major League Baseball focus. Like, you've got to live that lifestyle now. Like, that doesn't, you don't just become a Major League Baseball player just because like, you got to start doing it before. You got to be a Major League Baseball player beforehand, and then you allow that. So we're starting with energy, and we're getting some kids fired up. We're lighting that fire on the inside, not just under their feet. Like, any coach can sit here and say, move fast, go, do this, get sweaty, puke, like whatever. No, I want that fire to come from the inside of the athlete. And so that way, when they walk through those doors, it's like, oh, it's game time. So, that's where we start. All of our sessions we do in a group format, because a lot of the sports that they're playing are group sports. And I love creating leaders. I love creating these guys to be able to go out, guys and girls, to be able to go out and lead by example. So we're always competing. A lot of our warm-ups, we get hot, we get sweaty, we do that whole thing, but there's a competition in that. And that's probably some of the stuff you've seen on social media. Like,
exactly.
We're going to compete at some point, because just like you said, I'm 32 as well. Like, there is that competitive thing in me that's like, I don't care what we're doing. It's a competition, and let's go. And you got to have that. You can't get where you want to go without having some of that fire. And teaching the kids, how to win, like how to compete. Oh, you're tired? You're going up against somebody bigger? Find a way. But then at the same time, if it's a reaction drill, you can have a high school kid, with a senior with a freshman, or maybe even an eighth grader, if they get put in the session because they're good enough. It's like, oh, hey, eighth grader, you can compete still. Like, nothing says that you can't.
I go even further. I had an 8-year-old competing against a 16-year-old in a strike pitching competition. It was a flat ground, short. It was about 40 feet or so, but just competing. And the funny thing was, first round, a 16-year-old underestimated the 8-year-old, came out and whipped his butt. And I went, are you really gonna lose to an 8-year-old?
You gotta step up.
I was like, you're not supposed to lose to an 8-year-old. You need to turn your focus on and do what you got to do.
Yep.
And he goes, well, I mean, he's a kid. I'm like, he's fine. Don't protect him. Did he not just whip your butt in 4 throws? Yeah. He just whipped your butt in 4 throws. He did not give you a chance, did he? No, he didn't. Then you do the same thing to him. He'll be fine. You're not going to hurt his feelings. He's
That's exactly it. That's exactly it.
And if he does, he needs to learn how to lose, learn how to compete, just like you're saying. And I love that, like you're saying. Like, we just walked into the door of a hypothetical situation of being an athlete. We got energy, we got competition, and we got, really a group setting, an environment that I think, out of all the training that I've done in college and the facilities that I've been to, I think the militarization, that's a hard word, militarization of training is just not the way to go about it. It's not fun. There's no energy. There's no anything like you're saying. And that's really where, I love what you're doing. You do your little selfie. You see the kids get in there. They get excited. They want to have fun with it. And I think that's really what it's all about, of getting a lot of good stuff out of it. Because I do the same thing. And, I had a guy, one of my best older clients that I've had for a year, where he's pulling down 98. His highest is 97. And we're at 95, 96. And then at this new gym that we're at, the people have never seen anything like that. It's more of a personal training gym.
Yeah.
They got their Olympic lifting and stuff like that. So they haven't really seen somebody perform in front of them like that. And I'm jumping up and down. He's jumping up and down. The whole gym's stopping. They're watching us.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, and it's just something small. Like, man, I don't even think you can throw 98.
Get in their head.
Just like that. And he's like, oh, you don't think so? I'm like, no, I don't think you can. Next one. Whack, 98. And I'm like, oh, geez. And he's like, did you see that? I'm like, I mean,
fluke.
I don't think you can do it again, and a lot of people misconstrue that for, really that is a very, you're trying to hold it in, I'm sure, but you're also trying to motivate and see what else you can get out of them,
Yep. And that goes into the coaching thing. Like, there's going to be certain athletes that respond to that. And then there's going to be certain athletes where it's like, oh, you don't think that I can do it? And they're just going to and so the fact that you that athlete well enough that this is going to stoke a fire. And so much of many of our kids, we have like that younger population. We got the elite guys, but a lot of our stuff right now is that middle school age group. And it's building that confidence up that says, hey, I can compete. I can do really, really well. But if I don't, I can learn something from it. Like, good. It's that good mentality. Good. I'm glad I lost, because now I know what I need to get better at. Oh, I was too slow. Oh, my transition was terrible, or whatever it was, my change of direction. Or maybe I was just not awake. Like, I got to get my nutrition better, because I haven't eaten since 12 o'clock and it's a 7 p.m. session. So it's a Pete Carroll thing. His things always compete, right? And I love it. I love the competition between athletes, but then we put the biggest competition between them and themselves. Like, I don't, you not showing up and not giving your best, it's not affecting me, it's affecting you. Mm-hmm. So I need you to be better tomorrow than you were today. We talk about getting 1% better today than you were yesterday. And guess what? Tomorrow you better be 1% better. And that might be getting your nutrition right. That might be just doing your mobilities. That might be just listening to an audio book and like getting your mind right. Like, don't tell me you don't have time for all this stuff when you tell me you've got 10 hours of Fortnite over the weekend. Like, you tell me you want to be about being a Major League Baseball player. Don't tell me that. And then tell me, oh, I didn't have time to read that book that you gave me, coach, because I just didn't have time. Well, you had 10 hours of Fortnite. I saw you on Twitch. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So it's breaking down that mindset and changing it to that mindset of excellence. And I'm doing everything I can every single day to get better. But yeah, it's that competition. And then we get into the workout, right? And, we got all that stuff going on before we even get into the workout. And then all of our athletes get their own workout designed for them. Like, it's a personalized program based on what they need, because we do evaluations, because no two athletes are the same. We'll have an All-American rugby girl next to a guy trying to go play, Division I baseball. They're not going to be trained in the same. They're two high caliber athletes pushing, and they can feed off of each other that way. And there's like a mutual respect there, but I can't train them the same. So,
yeah. And honestly, I think that it's great that you're mixing the sports as well as the boys and girls into it, because it definitely creates a different dynamic. You see, I've actually seen to where a guy, father has removed his son from a group warm-up training situation just because there was a girl in there. And I was thinking, like, what, are you just mad that your 12-year-old's not as good as the girl 12-year-old? Is that what's going on? Or are you just like, you think that should be separate? Like, I'm confused at what your strategy of why you remove your kid when he's 12. Like, he should, by the way, hey dad, if your kid is beat by a 12-year-old girl, yes, you did something wrong. You shouldn't be embarrassed, but you should let him wear that. And then you should just ask him about that question.
Yeah.
Hey, do you remember when that girl beat you in every race? And it will work. I'm telling you, it will light a fire.
It's going to filter them one way or the other. It's either going to motivate them and say, hey, I need to do more, or it's going to be that filter that says, it's really not that important to me. And at that point, it's coaching the parent to say, hey, like, if your kid wants to go another direction, we got to let them go another direction. We can't live vicariously through our kid, like, as hard as that is. And that's one of the biggest areas that I coach on, is with the parents. It's like, I know you really, really want this for them. Mm-hmm. But they're the ones doing the work. And if they don't want to do it, I don't care how much money you pay me, they're not going to do it. Just like they wouldn't do whatever somebody else was paying for them to do. Like, it starts here and here. And we got to get that synced up. So as much coaching as I do with the kids, we do with the parents as well, which is good, which is fun. So,
yeah. That's awesome. So All right, so let's get some more into the training stuff. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I'm glad you being a baseball guy too, that we can get into some of this stuff about training and stuff in there and a little bit more specific. What are your training style? There's another, we're polar opposites on stuff where people are either linear or rotational.
Yeah.
What's your as a trainer, what's your take on that? Do you feel like is it one or the other? Do you need both? What do you feel in that situation?
I kind of, again, I don't jump into one camp or the other. I look at some of the best athletes in the world, and they can do both. They can run in a straight line, they can rotate. Like our philosophy is just make the best athlete that we possibly can. If you're not rotating well, let's get you stronger rotating. That's not going to be a bad thing. It's not going to make you a worse athlete. And if we need to just get you stronger, like I've never heard anybody a coach say, "Hey, son, you're just too strong." Like, let's get you stronger in that aspect. So I fell into the world of rugby kind of by chance. We've had a lot of success with our rugby athletes, and I watch some of those guys and girls and the stuff that they're having to do. When it goes, I don't know if you guys watch the Olympics or anything like that, but some of those athletes, the way that they're conditioned, with how strong they are, how big they are, and then the way that they move, I'm like, if I can make every athlete like that would be awesome. If you're playing baseball, basketball, soccer, like I don't care what it is.
Totally agree.
So
1,000%.
Yeah. So I'm not going to say nope, just this or just that. And again, it depends on the athlete too. Like certain kids, you get them working linear, they're just fine. But as soon as you start getting go rotationally, they're all over the place, and vice versa. You get a lot of these like rotational athletes that all they did was rotate, but you tell them to bend over and touch their toe. I have no idea what to do. I can't do it. So it's finding the weakness as fast as you can, and then let's attack that and make that a strength. So
yeah, efficiency, awesome,
yep.
Awesome. So as far as philosophies, is it safe to say that especially in like a pitching motion kind of thing?
Yeah.
Do you feel like you were more linear or more rotational, and as when you were throwing?
So I was initially I was way up here. I was kind of like a mid 3/4, and then when I came down here, I was probably, if you can call it a blend, but it was probably a lot more rotational for sure. Like if I just think about me, I was 5'10", I was 170 pounds. It was kind of that. I'd watch guys like a Pedro, and I'm like, he's just whipping for all he is worth, and I was trying to whip for all. I didn't have that frame behind me, so I was just spinning like Bob Gibson. Like let's just rotate this thing off, and if I'm flying way over there, so be it. If I can get the ball to go as hard as I can that way, that was kind of my philosophy. Like I had a lot of people say, "We got to land this way." I'm like, yeah, but if I do that, I'm throwing the ball 60 miles an hour. Like
I love how you say that. Yeah, because that's one thing I loved about. Do you follow Randy Sullivan over at the Florida Baseball Ranch?
Yep.
I just he did a podcast with I don't remember who. I think it's the guys for the baseball convention or the clubhouse. I'm not sure. I don't really remember where it was, but either way, the podcast was just phenomenal, and he was just talking about how hard it is to have perfect mechanics, and we keep talking about repeatable perfect mechanics, and it's just practically impossible to have the same timing to the same reach. And then really is if you could make it simple, and for what you're saying and what I'm saying, if the more stable that you can be, the better athlete that you can be, the better you're going to perform. And I really see a big difference in a lot of my athletes, and a lot of the stuff that we do is we're trying to be as stable as we can, be as fast as we can, and rotate. So I mean, I would, for what I'm seeing, where I got to with what I try to do with stuff, I think it is a little bit of both. I think that I treat energy as a ball, as like a system that is moving, and when you move through your motion and you're really trying to create the energy in this, it's really not like any other sport where you're at a standstill and you're trying. There's kind of rules if you think about it, like because you know, you're supposed to be connected to the rubber. You're supposed to do all this stuff, and no one ever is, you know. And so watching all this playoff baseball and all this stuff, it's so validating, at least on my side of business, you know, on yours. And people start asking, well, how do these guys throw 100? How do they throw 98? And I'm like, well, one, they don't stop training. Two, they've been doing it for a very long time.
Yeah, that's one of the things that they don't stop training. Like, I can't tell you how many guys I try to get that across. Like, don't stop. Like, why are you going to just stop suddenly? Like, I don't know what you did during your seasons. If you continue to train during season and lift, it's okay to lift. It's okay to be strong. It's okay to like maintain that.
Yeah.
You see the guys that, like you said, are still throwing hard. It's October and they're throwing the ball hard still. Yeah. Like, they're training. They're doing this stuff.
No, I was an everyday guy. I really was. It was for me, it was a must. I was wake up. Matter of fact, the highest level I got to was Mexican League winter ball, and I played for a team called Los Mochis, and our team hotel right outside of it was this mom and pop breakfast lunch spot. And it was some of the best food that I have every day. But I would get up, I'd have myself a little protein shake, and then I would go to the gym, mobilities, arm care, everything. You know, I'd spend 2 hours in there doing everything, rolling out, trying to get everything. Because one, I was the closer / emergency guy, I guess you could say, because there were times I went in the 7th, times I went in the 8th, the 9th. It really just depended what's going on. Shoot, halfway through the season, our number 5 starter got hurt. They threw me in there. So, like, just being adaptable, doing what I had to do, you know, and then ended up going back to the bullpen once that guy got healthy, you know, and it is so hard to be consistent, and people don't understand that. And you're watching some of these guys be consistent, not only performance-wise, but training-wise. And, you know, it sounds like you're a little bit of a Gary Vee guy too, but, you know, I always try to watch what they do. I don't really care what you say or what you do on the field. I want to see the other stuff, the behind-the-scenes stuff. What are you doing on your own? And that's where you're seeing a lot of, like, unlocking of information or validating, like we were saying before, where you got big leaguers that, you know, the day after the season, they're in their gym, you know, and even if he's just taking a selfie or doing whatever, what is that? That should tell you a lot. Like the stopping, the resting, I'm sure you see it too with all kinds of stuff where you see people, we got to take a break. You know, he just got done with football and he needs a couple weeks before to get ready for baseball. Now, one, I could see mentally with that, like, okay, I could see that, you know, but I'm still going to try to drive the point. Like, listen, you don't have to come in and throw. Please come in and work out, because it's going to take us 6 to 8 weeks just to get back to where we need to be. And then it's going to take us another 6 to 8 weeks to build up to where you want to be. So
absolutely.
Now we're talking about 4 months, and it's October, and the season starts in January, and you don't have 4 months. Okay. Do you understand how important it is? You know, and the parents are like, oh, okay, now we got it. And I'm like, you have to understand how it works.
And not to mention, you want them around that culture. I mean, if you've got a culture that's kind of pushing this mindset of, hey, 1% better every day, like, you don't necessarily have to lift today to get better, but you can get better being around this culture and around this mindset. And if you're constantly around thoroughbreds. So one of my mentors is Todd Durkin out there in San Diego. So I was just out in San Diego earlier this year. So you might have smelled me out there. But you know, I was out there, and he talks about that all the time. Like, get yourself around some thoroughbreds, and if you can constantly and consistently, like you said, be around high performers, like, even if you're in your off time, you're going to be getting a whole heck of a lot better, you know, recovering around thoroughbreds than you are recovering on your own. And just like, okay, here we go back into the motions. Like, it's so much of this is mindset. When you see these elite performers, it's mindset. And they get back with these elite trainers or their coaches or whoever, not because it's going to be the greatest workout in the world, but they're around that culture again. And it's just getting back into that. That's so important, not ever leaving that.
All right, I'm making signs and putting them all over the gym.
I love it.
1% better.
1% better.
I've heard it for, you know, a long time. A lot, you know, some people do, some people haven't, but, you know, it's just, you're right. It is creating the culture, the mindset. And when people come to I'm sure I know when they come to your place that they feel it, and
Yeah.
it's kind of, if it's kind of an escape, and I try to explain to the kids, like, you can come in here, whatever's going on in your head from school, parents, life, whatever the issue is, you can turn that off. You can train your butt off and put it on hold for a second. It's an escape, and I'm sure as you, a ball player, I really find that a lot of baseball players handle adversity and failure differently than most people. I think it's one of the most humbling sports, especially in the beginning, because just like we're creating those super athletes, on the other side of it, the kids that are getting beat, the ones that aren't doing it right, you're in a make or break situation. Either you're going to fold and call it a night, change your idea, or you're going to, stand your ground and start doing something about it. And, if we can keep that mindset going out there, just like you do every day, and I try to do the same thing, is try to change your own storyline. Try to do something. Like be able to understand that it's not hard to do. You just got to put the freaking controller down and make a plan to be able to do something. And granted, I tell kids all the time, I am not against video games because I understand what it is, but I use it as dessert. And I did it in college, and I feel like that really got me. I would put on a sticker on my system, challenge. Maybe we'll start a challenge with that. I put a sticker on my system saying, did you do everything you could to get to the major leagues today? And I would look at it, and if I got, there were times that I would sit down, turn it on, there'd be that new,
whatever.
You're the same age as me, so you probably remember when we were in college, the Call of Duty beta was out, and they were giving it away, and everybody was playing it. Yep. It was the craziest free game I'd ever played. I was having dreams from it, and when I did, I was like, I was going like, all right, no, I can't, I cannot invest this much time. I see what's going to happen. Yeah. So I would make sure that I would go to the gym twice a day, beyond what the workout for the school was and stuff from there, and just really make sure that before, when I sat down to it, normally it was like 11 o'clock by then, but I got all my stuff done from there. I'd play for a couple hours and go to bed and do from there. And so, it is from there. It is what it is. That brings me to a very interesting point that I just thought of right there, a question that I wanted to ask you from there.
Yeah. How
do you deal with athletes who have a program at their school, and what's your strategy on those guys? Let's say those guys go to the gym, they go to practice, they do what they can do, but like I know, they're not doing everything they can. Yeah. It's okay, what did you do? Oh, well, we squatted, we deadlift, we power cleaned, and we bench press.
Yeah.
Today? You did that today.
Right.
Like, right. So what I'm sure you run into this issue too with stuff all the time. What's your plan with that? How do you handle that?
A lot of times, if it's a school class, if it's high school strength training or something like that, I'll just reach out to that instructor and say, hey, like, they're doing this on the outside. Can I get an idea of what you got? Like, what is your plan for the semester, or for, like, what is their spiel? What are they doing? So that way we're not smashing the same thing over and over and over again. Like, that's kind of counterproductive. But I mean, sometimes you get a response back, sometimes you don't, and that can be frustrating. With the kids that are in like a high school, a lot of times it is, hey, this is our plan today. You know our plan. Can you talk to your instructor and say, hey, this is what I'm going to be doing, and we can make some amends on their end? Or it's that kind of like it sounds like you do. It's like, what'd you do today? And if we need to make some adjustments, like, we'll make some adjustments. But at the same time, I know that they're probably not putting out the same way that they put out in here. Exactly. If it's somebody that's like, oh yeah, I went to the Y yesterday and I lifted. Okay, cool. I pretty much can guarantee that it's not the stuff that you need to be doing, because it's stuff you need to be doing, you hate doing, whether it's, your plyos, or you hate rear foot elevate squatting, like whatever it is, the things that are going to make you better, you're probably not doing, because it's hard. And unless you're in our environment, you're probably not going to go do, unless you're a special person, like, you're not going out and doing the hardest thing you can do, because they're like, man, I'm terrible at this, I'm going to do more of it. So that's a hard one. it's so hard with so many kids going out there and having these classes, and they'll pull up a video on YouTube and they'll do this, and it's like, okay, cool, but are you getting the best out of it? So that is a hard one that we're constantly fighting and trying to marry up with the schools and the coaches. Well, and that's the other thing now that we're running into is all these teams have travel leagues in the fall that carry over to the winter, that carry over to the spring, over to the summer. It's like nonstop. So they'll have their high school team, but then they'll also have their travel team that, oh yeah, we're doing strength and conditioning for this, and then we're also doing this with you. So sometimes it's just like today you're just sitting here and you're going to read a book. No, but yeah, it is. It's a hard balance, and trying to get the parents even sometimes to buy into the idea of, look, if this strength or if this summer team or whomever is so adamant that you do their stuff that they're not willing to let you come over here and do ours, is that really the right team that you need to be on? If it's just a money thing at some point to where they're like, no, you've got to be here. I don't know. I don't know if that's the best team for you to be on. When you can sit there and say, look, we're doing this out of our own pocket over here with a professional. That's a hard conversation to have sometimes, but I think it's a necessary one. So
I couldn't agree anymore. I have a client that the team, the high school team, now it was optional for them to be working out at this CrossFit gym. I don't know why I'm trying to figure out also, sidebar, why CrossFit got so popular in the baseball world. Like I don't know. I don't know how that transition happened or whatever, unless that it's just a gym and it's a fad. That's the only thing I can really come up with. But so the parents of this particular athlete understand everything that we're doing. He's one of my longest running athletes and everything, and they're actually frustrated at the point because we've talked about the why and all that stuff, and they know okay, if you're going to go to this gym, can I see the workouts? Can we talk about this? Can we see what's going on? And sure enough, how it does, they give you the spiel. It sounds like everything's going to be good. Last week, the kid did 200 burpees and 200 wall balls.
Why?
Which is a squat wall ball. And I went,
why?
Hey, for the people that don't know. And I said the same thing. I was like, what did you get out of that? And he's like, well, I threw up twice. And I said, well, what did they tell you there? And he said, I got stronger. I go, Did you? Yeah. Did you? Or did you just hate your life and probably did terrible technique through the whole thing?
Right. And I think that's why CrossFit has gotten so big with a lot of different sports teams, is because there's coaches out there that they think, oh, you puked, it's insanely hard, you got better today. As opposed to, hey, maybe today it's a low effort kind of day and it's active recovery day for you. What do you mean you're not hobbling out of the gym? Like, did you get better? Like they put those two things together, probably because they had a coach back with football practice or back in the day that ran them into the ground, and that's how they feel that coaching is good. So I do a lot of talks around this area talking about that specifically with a lot of the coaches. Like, they don't need to be, if they're puking, you're probably doing something wrong. You're going to get that every once in a while. Like, I would push myself so hard that I'd end up puking, but that wasn't because of the workout. That was because I was pushing myself so hard. Yeah. I think that's probably why those things have kind of like popped up. So
yeah. So you deal with the same thing too. So
all the time.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little frustrating with stuff, and then especially it's funny because I'm newer to the area of San Diego. Really, it's only been about a year that I've been working here, but through social media, through some things, and through some success with some guys, I'm growing nicely. Things are going well, and I'm enjoying the athletes that I have because I've almost even started I'm in the process of finishing up an application process just to even be able to train with me. If you don't answer these questions correctly, I don't want a non-serious athlete. And, I don't discriminate against age or anything, because I think the earlier that we can get these kids learning actually how to throw, because I think that there's some ridiculous video floating around the Little League on teaching these kids how to swing up and throw and like Cobra to the sky and all this stuff. And that's the only thing that I can think of, because I run into it every day. I had a dad recently, you know this dad. This dad has the matching gear, the matching hat. He's got the camera, the phone out, everything that he does. And I did an eval lesson with the kid, turn the radar gun, because my evals I do differently than for what I've seen a lot of guys. I want to see you move. I want to see you throw. I watch you warm up. I run you through some drills. I put you through some warm ups, and then we're going to play catch. And I'm going to probably see what I need to see after we play catch. Now, after that, you see that net over there? I'm going to see how fast you can throw the ball.
Yep.
That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to be super vague about it, you know. And most of them, they don't use their legs. They don't shuffle. They just throw the ball. So they I try to challenge them, see what we can get to. And we watch the radar gun, and it goes up or down or whatever's going on. I'm like, okay, cool. All right, let's video you. Let's talk about it. And I remember this particular dad, I videoed it, talked about it, and I said, hey, Dad, do you know anything about me or who I am or what I can do or anything? He goes, no, we really got referred by these other people. They said, we like you, but I didn't really do any research. I'm like, all right, cool. Give me 5 throws. And I said, am I cold or have you seen me do anything? No, I haven't seen you do anything. Okay, hold on. Whack, 5 in a row. Bam, 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 bam. All shuffles, all as hard as I can. And normally 5 throws, I start off around anywhere like 72, but I'll end up around like 88, 89 or something like that. Sometimes I'll pop a 90 within 5 throws. And the dad does every time. They're always like, what?
Yeah.
What's going on? And I'm like, well, I just kind of want to prove to you that like way you think you're moving is not efficient. And your son's trying to impress me by having like perfect mechanics with tucking his glove and doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
And that's not really what it's about when you're trying to learn how to throw hard. It's way simpler than what you think it is. And so the kid was like looking at me and he's like, wait, you just threw that cold. And I said, yes, I did. And my arm feels fine. Right. And then he's like, and you can see they have this processing,
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, cool. Let's go over some more things. Let's see if you can see what I'm doing, and let's talk about how you're throwing the ball. And then not to mention, you didn't even use your legs. You had zero momentum. You had nothing going into it. So let's start with that. And, all of them end up throwing faster than they did before. And then the dad goes back to okay, well, he can't do that in pitch. And I said, well, Dad, we're not working on pitching. I got to teach your son how to throw without pain as hard as he can where he wants to. Yep. Then we can teach pitching. Then pitching's a whole other thing.
Yep.
And he's like, okay, now, and I'm like, hey, Dad, you throw the ball. That's probably my most favorite. That's my most favorite one. Yeah. And you see him immediately go, way too overthinking it. They get the glove. They're trying to, you see him do all these motions, trying to do it right and all this stuff. And, they throw it and they're like 50, or something like that. And then I go, okay, here you go, 12-year-old. Beat your dad. And it's just it's a different way to go about it, but it's kind of funny these days but I enjoy it though. You have to prove yourself to, so people to understand, but that's really how I try to do it. And if anybody, in San Diego comes, that's exactly how I do it every time. If I can, fortunately enough, I figured some things out earlier in my career, and I was able to have a video of me throwing 96 and see what I did in a game, everything that I did. The one, and it's that one perfect pitch. It's the fastball down and into the righty, 96 spotted. Okay, cool. And the philosophy of if I can just do that again, then I should be able to repeat that. And I believe that's a Tom House philosophy of exactly. I think so, of what he, his big thing was, okay, if you have video of you throwing 100, let's break down what you were doing at 100 and just do it again. And which is a great thing. In theory, you just got to understand the systems in order to be able to accomplish those things from there. So that's the way I like to do it. It doesn't really seem like you're on the throwing side of stuff too much. Is that something you guys have available at your facility as well?
We do. We do have. We've got an indoor cage back there somewhere that we're actually just getting set up. Since we're finally in here, we've got 1,000 projects we're doing, and that's one of the last ones or the first ones that we're trying to do right here. But I do the same thing, honestly. When it comes to looking at a kid and throwing, just throw the ball. I want to see where you're at. Let's go. And the key word that I love that you said was video. The video is not going to lie. Let's just see exactly what you're doing. I don't care what you tell me you're doing. Let's just see what you're actually doing. And then let's, one of my favorite things is let's look at a pro guy. Like who is your favorite guy that throws hard or, whatever. And their technology is so awesome. Like information is such a great thing. The world we live in, we have so much information that we can get to anything. But man, sometimes it's information overload on people. And that's when you get the people coming in trying to be picture perfect already. So let's just look and see what these guys are doing. There's Kimbrel throwing this way or whatever it is. Like he throws the ball.
He was bringing it last night, wasn't he?
He throws the ball hard. Yep. And I'll do that a lot of times. I'll say, you see the video? Okay, just do that and you'll throw 103 or whatever, Yeah. And they just start laughing. Just do that.
Have you heard his story? Have you heard his story about how he learned how to throw hard?
No. Well, yeah, I did actually. Or no, I have not heard Kimbrel's. I was going to say I heard Wagner's. But
Kimbrel, it's similar. They're very similar. Yeah, Kimbrel broke his ankle for his freshman year of high school, and his brother wanted a long toss still, so they would go to the field, and he would take a knee and throw with his brother.
There you go. He
did it for like 8 weeks. And then next thing you know, he was up, so-and-so. And now you'll see people throw from the knees. I see it a lot. I actually do it with some of my athletes on there too. To change up their training. Hey, we're going to throw from our knees today. I'm going to put a yoga mat down. We're going to see how hard you can throw from your knees.
Yeah. It's another part of the body. Yeah.
They're like, are you serious? I mean, yeah. I want you to see if you can figure out how to see how fast you can throw with the stuff that we're working on and go from there and use it as just a different workout day. And every time I do it, they start off, they're like, all right, this is kind of weird. I'm like, but challenge yourself. There's a radar gun with a screen behind you. See how fast you can throw it from one knee, two knees. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. And if you could throw hard from that angle, imagine once you start adding the biggest muscles you got, like, let's do that. So, yeah, I'm right there with you. So I do. I love the throwing side of it, and it's fun when you see their eyes light up. It's like, wow, there's more miles per hour in there. And,
so it's safe to say that we can see some throwing videos coming in soon.
Yes, there will be.
Awesome. Yep. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Awesome. Good stuff. Well, do you have any questions for me or anything
One of my biggest questions is, how the heck did you find Crucible Performance on the East Coast? You're being out in San Diego. How did that end up finding up?
So I'm good. I'm sneaky. I'm very sneaky and good at finding stuff, but really, the explore function of Instagram is if you understand hashtags and understand searching, it's very easy to find people. Yeah. And I, fortunately enough, web design, I know all that stuff, understand what hashtags and searchability and visibility are. And so, I typed in the right combination of letters and I'm able to kind of come through and find people. And my Instagram's not a normal Instagram. It's cheese throwers, workouts, all kinds of, there's no Fortnite or distractions on there. It's nothing but info. And if you don't follow Pitchers Nation, please go do that, because that's my favorite. I'm constantly reposting those videos because there's so that. I had a dad ask me that, man, I started following Instagram and you post so much stuff, but you also mix in some of these, big league pitches. And he's like, why do you do that? And I was like, because those are the answers.
Right.
When you see this guy leg lift and he's throwing 100 miles an hour, you can also see that there's another guy that's leg lifting and doing something different, but also throwing 100 miles an hour.
Right.
So the point is that I make with that is, that pitch is nasty from, and look what he's doing. Yeah. Look what he's doing to make the pitch do that or not do that or whatever. And the video, like you're saying, I totally agree with the information and technology and all the stuff that's out there, because it's the answers are there. It's just, you have to understand what you're seeing, and until you understand what you're seeing, you don't even realize it's happening right in front of you. Right. It's almost like magic that I tell people all the time. When I open your eyes and tell you what I see, what they see, and it goes from there, you'll be like, oh, okay. All right. I see what's going on here.
And that's what's super, super cool about, like, even this here. Like, I'm a big believer in sharing knowledge, and like, we're all trying to change lives. We're all trying to improve, people's lives. And the fact that, you've got information that I don't. I might have stuff that you don't. And it's like, let's collaborate. Let's make this whole thing better. It's not like a competition thing. It's like a rival. Like, hey, I'm going to make you better because I know you're going to bring it and you're going to make me better. So it's that, like, let's make each other better. And like this kind of thing here is awesome because all of a sudden somebody watching this, one of your guys might be like, man, I'm going to pick something up. And, and vice versa.
There's gems all over this podcast. We got a ton of really good stuff from there. Cool.
And that's what it's all about. That sharing that information.
For sure. Yeah, that's it, dude. I'm all about it's very, my father-in-law calls it hippie-ish on a lot of things that I say from there. But I was like, I think it's deeper than that. It's the regret that is inside on how I went about my training.
Right.
It's so frustrating. And so that's where, I'm so pumped when I get an 8-year-old, a 10-year-old that I'm like, hey, Dad, can we just talk about big picture here?
Right.
If you can be consistent with your training for 1 year, just 1 year, you're going to see some amazing stuff happen. It's not, I try to make sure that people understand that that's part of that application thing. You have to understand you are not going to see what you think you see for 6 months. It takes that long.
Right.
And then from there, when you understand that is just the beginning.
Yep.
It's going to take, it's going to take 2-3 years for us to get where you want to be. And there's going to be some bumps in the roads and you're going to be sore and you're going to get tendonitis and you're going to tweak something. But when you understand that and you're honest with me, we can fix those things in less time and keep going. I had that reminds me of an awesome story that just happened like a couple weeks ago. One of my clients, dude's senior year, going well, tweaked his scap on his glove side. Okay. Couldn't pull down, couldn't get it. Just the muscles back there just couldn't do it. Lost 10 miles an hour, went from 85 to 75 in an outing. Right? Dad's freaking out. Goes, the trainer's telling us we need to go to the doctor. There's something wrong. I go, well, hold on. Bring him in. I know the strength testing and stuff from there. Obviously, us as pitchers, we've been there. We know how to, we had to run through the whole testing situation. I go, I don't think this is that serious. I think he obviously tweaked some stuff. Let's give him a little time. Let's have a little bit of ibuprofen. Let's increase the water, increase the veggies. Let's roll it out. Let's do some lacrosse ball. Let's get this so right thing going on. Let's break up the scar tissue and let's start doing some strengthening something. Dude, 1 week, he's back. 1 week. Wow. He came in every day doing his eyes, Ys, and T's, doing his bent over holds, doing all of his stability, his rotations, doing everything, right back into it. And then what's funny, at the end of the week, the dad was like, hey, the school wants us, they're going to pay for the school for him to go to sports medicine doctor. Cool, go for it. Doctor tells him then, just based on the information, even though the kid's saying I'm fine, all right, you need to take 2 weeks off, and then we're going to prescribe you 4 to 6 weeks of physical therapy, and then you can start throwing again. The dad calls me walking out of there, and he tells me what happened, and he goes, is that real life? And I said, yes, that is called a standard response from a doctor that has never played baseball and has never been a senior in high school, that has no idea what it's like to not be signed in October when you know that your life's on the line.
Yeah.
He's like, so what do we do? And I said, we come in and play catch today and see how it feels. And we just go on feel
it out.
And he came in, played catch, and he's like, I think we're good. I think I'm fine. All right, cool. Let's go. Monday we'll start and we'll get back to it. But we'll keep your rehab going. We'll keep progression. We're going to increase some throws right now. We're not going to go 100% yet. But we're just going to work into it slow. But instead of 6 weeks, we really didn't lose anything now because you didn't stop.
Right.
He's like, you think so? I'm like, yeah, you're fine.
Well, and maybe that was just a wake up to say, hey, get your nutrition in line. Like,
exactly. Yeah.
Look, it's a good mentality. Hey, I'm glad this happened now instead of down the road. So.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
Or even further, I think not even with the nutrition. Let's just think about, did you ever have a tweak in a shoulder and elbow in college and you hit the panic button?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you were going to the training room like I was twice because I had a broken arm and no one told me what was wrong with my arm with 6 weeks left in my senior year. And I'm going 3 times a day and they're putting ice and stem on it like it's actually going to do something.
Like they say. Right. I love it. That's always the answer, right? Ice and stem.
I think there was that. So if we're the same age, I know you saw this video. There was the shit bullpen pitchers say.
Yeah,
that video was amazing because that guy, the guy was like, I think he said something like, "Hey, there's a cut. There's a cut on my arm. You think the trainer will put ice and stuff on it?"
Yeah.
Like
always the answer.
Oh, dude, it was so brutal. I remember going in and being like, "We've done this 3 times a day for 2 weeks." And I can't run and I can't throw. Right. I do believe it's time to try another strategy. Hey, the doctor said 4 weeks.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then I'm going to do something else. Then I'm
right. I'm going to figure something out.
Yeah, I'm going to do something. I'm just going to do this plus something else because this is obviously not working. Needless to say, I didn't even know I needed an MRI to find out that I had an 85% avulsion fracture in my elbow, and it was hanging on by dear life.
Ugh, that's crazy.
Yeah, but hey, I'm good to go now.
I love it.
I can still get out to, like I said, I think I got to 370.
That's
a
impressive.
Week ago. Yeah,
that's impressive.
Well, we got the weather over here. I never stop throwing. So.
That's true. That's true. It's a little rainy out here today, so
yeah.
That's all right.
Cool. All right. Well, do you got anything else?
No, I'm good. I'm cool. Fired up, man. Let's go for another hour.
Yeah. Of course, there's the energy. Well, let's do this. Tell everybody where they can find you, where you're located. And a little bit of information about your stuff, and so people can learn about where you're at and how they should. But I'm putting my Florida/San Diego stamp at your facility. People, if you're in the area, if you're in the Maryland, if you're in his area, go find him. Do it. It will change your life.
Oh man, I appreciate that. That means a lot. Yeah, we're in Frederick, Maryland. So we're about an hour west of Baltimore. That kind of gives you kind of a little bit of a location there. But we're in Frederick. We're at, if you're on social media and all that good stuff, we're just on Instagram for all the young guys and gals, at Crucible Performance. We are on Facebook for all the parents and old guys like us, right? I know nobody uses that anymore, but for business, that's good. And we're the same thing, facebook.com/Crucible Performance. You can email me directly if you have any questions. Feel free. I try to get back to those ASAP. Just Ryan, RYAN, at crucibleperformance.us. Not a .com, a .us. And then website, same thing, www.crucibleperformance.us. But, we got all our stuff. Message us, email. I'm pretty quick with a lot of that stuff unless we're in the middle of a session. But, we're fired up and come on in. I love it.
That's awesome. Well, I guess we'll leave there. I want to thank sponsor Brain Armor for the awesome stuff. Go check them out. You'll have the link in the bio here. Also check them on Instagram. Don't forget to go get your tap-weighted balls, J-bands, flush bands, your shoulder tubes, anything that's going to help you be a better pitcher or thrower on my website. Also check out my gear. Do yourself a favor, grab you one of these awesome sweatshirts. And, it's been a real pleasure, Ryan. Dude, man, I couldn't thank you enough for taking some time out of your day and come out here. We got to do this again. I've got some more ideas. Hang on for a little bit after there. We'll share some ideas and some stuff from there. But, it's been an awesome time. Guys, don't forget, one more thing, throw hard.